Greetings, 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 family. This is another episode of the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360, the Melanin Report 360. I am your hostess, Deanne, coming at you live out of sunny Phoenix, Arizona. I hope everyone had or having a great day. I've been taking care of some projects at my condo and my townhome. And it's coming along well. Going to have probably a late time of going outside and being, communing with, family and friends because I'm trying to get everything set up for that time. I don't know I'm going to be able to go out once I complete everything and the contractor comes back and blah, blah. But it's in process. It is in process. And I will, once it's completed, I'm going to film and you can see all of my effort and all of that. So work in progress. So I hope you all are having a good Tuesday. It's a troubling time we're living in. It's a troubling time, and unfortunately, it's been a year since George Floyd's. I'm not going to say death. I'm going to say assassination or lynching. Yeah, a lynching, a modern day lynching. So let me go ahead and take care of my fair use disclaimer because I'm going to dive into some areas that, I was emotional. I've been emotional with this whole thing. When the verdict read, I was sobbing. I don't even have any connection with the family, but we have a connection, but we're melanated people. So, and I'm the first woman. So I have a connection to all life. And so, as I talk about it today, it's tough. It's tough because we are living in horrible times. I'm going to say tumultuous, but that word wouldn't come out. So I'm going to say tough times, beyond tough times. So let me go ahead and read the fair use disclaimer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. So copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So thank you. So George Floyd should be alive today. George Floyd should be alive today. I'll say it again. George Floyd should be alive today. But we know he was a victim of not only police brutality, but also white supremacy. I'm calling it as I see it. I'm not saying the entire police department in Minnesota or what was it? Minneapolis. Not everyone in there is racist. I'm not saying that. However, the person, or that's really a nice name, nice word to call Derek Chauvin, he was an animal. He is an animal. And he had so many complaints. And it got swept under the rug. And then George Floyd Jr. This is a tough topic for me to cover, but it brings sadness in my heart in my mind, in my spirit, because I know for 9 minutes and several seconds, that man suffered. It was a slow death. That was the viciousness of Derek Chauvin. He saw the life being taken away from that man. What animal would do that? I don't even think an animal would do that. It's shameful. It's shameful. But now the same police chief, obviously he was written up several times. So did he fail George Floyd? The police chief, the black man, that's the police chief. And he kept giving him a pass, kept giving him a pass, kept giving him a pass. I'm talking about George Floyd. And now, he came out, front and center, wouldn't even look in that direction of Floyd. I mean, in that direction of Chauvin. But where were you when the write-ups happened? Where were you? I can't remember the guy's name, the police chief. Where were you when the first, did you have a reprimand? What about the second, the third charge or of this type of behavior on the force? So where were you? Where were you? Whew. So the fact that I made some notes because I wanted to cover quite a bit in these 30, 35 minutes. I've been, I usually dedicate to my YouTube. So the fact that the young lady, bless her heart, she was able she's probably still having nightmares to record live. The fact that the other officers, they had already handcuffed him. So just put him in the back of the car, take him downtown, and that's that. Go on to the next case. Go back on the street. The fact that he was handcuffed behind him, handcuffs behind, and all three of them at some point had different parts of his body. He was obviously a big, tall man, probably 6'5" or 6'4", I don't know. But he was already handcuffed. He was already handcuffed. And this is what all the other officers, Chauvin was on the neck. The other officers were just as complicit because they were following lead. The one Asian officer, I don't know his name, I'm going to have a tough time today. I can feel it, but I'm going to try and get through this. The guy the police officer, the pig, see, not every police officer needs to be called a pig. But at this time, the Asian guy that was standing guard as he Chauvin assassinated, lynched with the knee. That's what they did. They hung our brothers and sisters, our elders, our ancestors. We were hung. This was on the ground hanging. So the fact that they knew it was being recorded, This young lady held that phone for 9 or 10 minutes. And when they came to the ambulance or something came, blah, 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 his lifeless body, it had already happened. The killing had already taken place. So I'm just hoping, because the judge has not, they're trying to overturn and all like that. I hope that doesn't happen. I'll just say that. I'll just say that. Do not let this happen. I know people are coming out, went on the news. I was a little concerned about that when I saw the jurors, some of the jurors had interviews and all like that. I was like, until the sentencing, I'm not going to say anything. To compromise, I would not want to compromise the case in any way, because we know they play dirty ball. We know where we are. So if there's a technicality to be had, we have to overturn. Not right, not fair, but where are we? We know what things that are not right, not fair. We know that. So we don't have to have another example of this. So I personally was a little concerned when the folks were, the jurors, it was like 2 jurors, and they have front and center, and the case, I think it was like the day 3, the 3rd day after, my kitty cat's coming downstairs. The 3rd day, I think after the conviction, not the sentencing, the conviction, 3 counts of guilty. And the fact that I saw a juror on whatever network or whatever, I'm not trying to give a shout out to anyone, any network, but I was a little concerned because I know how they play. They play with our lives. So this is not good. I'm not trying to say that guy, the juror, is a Black male, probably in his late 30s, I think, somewhere in there, maybe early 40s. And because, we don't crack. So I'm thinking 30s or 40s, somewhere in there. Old enough to know. Old enough to know where you are. Don't grant the interview until you have the sentencing. George Floyd, I'm getting the names. Chauvin has not been, he's been convicted, guilty on 3 counts, but they haven't done the sentencing. See, I'm not feeling they're not going to get it on a technicality of people talking and blah, blah, blah. Because, see, I know where we are. Don't be confused. Please, sisters and brothers, do not be confused. It's a victory in and of itself. But so many officers have killed so many people, Black and brown, and others. I'm not trying to say they're exclusive, but we hold the majority, I'm sure. So we have to look at this. We should not have a victory. It's a short victory, a small victory. I don't know about the sentencing. Is it a technicality? I don't think he can't bond because he's been convicted. But I'm not trusting that situation at all. So going back to George Floyd, my goodness, George Floyd Jr. So what about the young man who reported the transaction at he was, he was a cashier for George Floyd. What about that young man? He was on the stand, probably 20, 25, maybe 18. He's got to live with that guilt the rest of his life. are we helping our people in therapy? Because this was the older guy, he was boohooing on the on the stand. He was crying, just the memory of it. Imagine this young lady holding that phone for almost 10 minutes, over 10 minutes, might as well say, and watch that life come out of his body. This is an animal. This is Chauvin was an animal. I mean, it's how else? Because sane people. That's why I've always have a promotion of having psychological evaluations for all police officers. If you carry a weapon, you got to prove you're going to be not going to be biased, and well, chances are everyone's biased, right? But to have the ability to carry a weapon, not all police officers, and I've been saying this, not all police officers should be able to carry a weapon. Like the first year, you go with another officer, has whatever, he's passed or she's passed, whatever, and they're not using lethal force, So you have a year of training with an officer trying to de-escalate. See, everyone, when they see us, it accelerates. Everything, they're, oh, I was afraid for my life. We have all of these stories being told. It's a shame. This country, and that's why there was such an outcry globally, because people were sick and tired of being sick and tired. They were taken to the streets. London, Paris. I mean, it was just, everyone was, on tape. And the police officers, what's going to happen to them? I think they should have first degree. First degree. I think they should have the same sentence. And why not? They did not protect a citizen. They did not protect George Floyd Jr. They did not protect George Floyd. Serve and protect, right? Serve and protect. They did not serve or protect George Floyd Jr. So they should also have the same first or manslaughter, whatever they did. They should definitely have it. Not a question, because they were right there. 4 officers. Chauvin, the other 3. They got 2 police cars for 1 man. This is a shame, United States. This is a shame. This is a shame. And we have more. This is from last year. And we just had one in North Carolina, Minnesota again. I mean, I literally cannot keep up. I literally cannot keep up with the fallen, soldiers. I'm going to say soldiers. We're at war. I don't know how anyone can say, oh, there's no racism. This is not a racist country. Okay. So the other officers, they were just as complicit and should have the same amount of disciplinary action, never be able to transfer into another state, another jurisdiction, and they should have a permanent, quote unquote, mark. They have to be a security guard without carrying a gun. How about that? So the irritating part when I was watching, I did not watch the entire, because it was just so emotionally draining. And I mean, I watched enough to know the general tone of everything. But I noticed that Derek Chauvin, was taking notes. Did anyone else notice that? He was taking notes during the entire time, the trial. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. Many of us can, but certain people, certain groups, probably, if you're doing one thing, just focus on that one thing. So the fact that he was taking notes said to me he was disconnected from the reality of hearing what he did. Would that be a good assumption? I think it would be. He was so much in his notes, and he was making notes and writing the entire time. Every time I went and saw on the live footage and all like that, he was making notes. I thought that his defense attorney should have just said, "Don't do that. You did that yesterday. Don't do that." But some people are not can't tell anyone anything. So this is a tough day, because it's now the anniversary. That young man I'm gonna say young man, he was 10 years younger than me. That young man should be right here, enjoying his children. He had 2 grandchildren, I think. So I've been reading, I pulled up George Floyd on Wiki, and there were a couple of notes, obviously, I wasn't aware of, and some things. So early life. So he was born in North Carolina. I didn't know that. And just to give you an idea, the backdrop, his great, and this is from Wiki, I'm quoting from Wiki. So his great great grandfather, that's what he says, Hillary Thomas Stewart Sr., was born a slave, but acquired his freedom in the Civil War. While Stewart was in his 20s, think about that, in his 20s, he acquired 500 acres. 500 acres of land. That's a lot of land. 500? Okay. But he lost it to a white man, a white farmer, who used legal questionability and maneuvering that were common at that time in the South. So the man, George Floyd, I'm not saying that, the name is different. Hillary Thomas Stewart. So Mr. Stewart lost the land that he had acquired. And this was, and he was free. He was a free, quote unquote, free man. So when I read that, I was like, wow. We have been catching HELL. When have we not? I'm asking. The fact that George Floyd should be alive, enjoying his children, grandchildren. No matter if he smokes crack, doesn't smoke weed, that don't even matter. They were trying to pull that out with heart attack, and that was called, and they had so many switch and bait. I mean, it was just trying to make our head spin, but we kept the eye on the prize, because we knew, and all jurors, all 12 of them, they knew without a shadow of a doubt that man was killed. that man was killed. It's such a slow death as you feel your organs shut down. You know, the family, because it is the 1 year anniversary, I think they have been invited to the White House. It's just as upsetting. I need a drink. The fact that they were all, I guess, invited to the White House. Where's the bill? Where is the bill? Kamala, President Joseph Biden, you all are both attorneys. You can sign executive orders. Why can't you do it for this, the legacy and the memory? That should have been what he did today. Executive order. Are they still passing out executive orders? I'm sure they have. They are. See, this is why we are saying Black Lives Matter. Because we have never received any type of, we have always been pulling ourselves up by the bootstraps. Oh, you got to pull your, was Reagan. Pull yourself up from your bootstraps. What have we been doing? We have never received reparations. Totally due, overdue. See, that's why in your mind, that's why you have to eat well. You have to keep everything. You have to eat well. You have to drink, water. You have to be clear in your mind, body, and spirit. So if somebody says something to you, it ain't gonna fall like, oh, okay, we need to, we definitely need to pull ourselves up. What else have we been doing? We need to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps. Has anyone given us anything ever? I'm just asking. Because I don't think I've received a couple of $1 million check. I missed it. But see, in your mind, you're going to second guess. My grandparents, well, I'm going to stick on one point. In your mind, you're going to think you're not doing that because someone is telling you, whispering in your ear, you need to pull yourself up by the boot, especially if it comes from the higher office. This was in the 80s when not Clinton, when Reagan was first elected. It was 1980, I believe. Oh gosh, I don't know what that sound is. My cats are getting into something, and neither one of them are down here, so I'm like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So this is where we have an understanding, understanding, overstanding of, someone whispering, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. So then you're questioning, oh, I guess I'm not pulling myself up by your bootstraps. Please don't be insulting to yourself. No one has ever given us anything. The 3 houses I have purchased in my lifetime so far, I have never gotten 1 penny. And I do mean 1 penny from government stuff, from this, from that. I saved my money. At the age of 30, I bought my very first house in Atlanta, Southwest Atlanta, that. Before it was gentrified. Nobody wanted to be over there. Everybody was like, damn, why are you buying over here? Because I was by the West End train station. I could walk to the West. I knew with my inner knowing, my understanding of real estate, I knew it. And I did a short sale. That was the only thing I should have done. Well, anyway, I can't undo. But that house, I paid like $69,000 back in 1993. That house is worth almost $500,000 now, but that's a whole nother conversation, another time. I know that we have been taught and we believe everything that we're hearing, but we have to run the filters. We definitely have to run the filters. Does this make sense? Looking right, looking right. Well, this doesn't make sense to me. But you're being told you have to pull yourself up by your what have we ever received anything, $100,000, $500,000? Nothing. But now you can take care of Asian Americans, no offense, but they just got here, maybe three, maybe two, I'm gonna say like maybe, let's just say 100 years. They've probably been here, a little bit more. But we have paid our dues in our blood. And they're not even passed an executive order of getting this George Floyd Act passed. I blame this on the people in office. That's all I'm going to say. Because the shame and disgrace that the Asian bill passed, fine colors, one and done. But now we're still sitting on the fence. We help you get in the office that you are occupying. Black and brown people turned out like nobody's business. Isn't that right? But yet we are still waiting. We are still waiting. We are still waiting. This is the hypocrisy. So, George Floyd, may you rest in power. I am disgusted of the George Floyd Act is still in the Senate. What about an executive order? The president has the power to do that. I don't understand why he's not doing that. The fact that we came out in numbers, even Arizona turned blue. This they didn't even count Arizona because it was so red all these years. I think they voted blue maybe for Clinton, I think, some 20 plus years ago. But Arizona, I had like 4 different people knock on my door throughout the summer leading up to the election. Are you registered? And surveying me, blah, blah, blah. So I know the effort that went into Arizona numbers. Because Arizona has always been traditionally a red state. So they had never seen it blue since maybe the early 90s. I think Clinton, that's what I'm remembering, Clinton. I wasn't living out here at that time, but this is where we are, people. This is where we are. So I'm hoping that Chauvin will get 50 years. I'm hoping. I think all the other officers are just as complicit. Their knee was not on the neck, but since they did not try to save that man, that young man, George Floyd, they are equally culpable. Equally. This is the justice system that should have justice. You see something wrong, that young lady held that video not knowing it would have changed so many lives and believing that it would, though. Somewhere in her mind, she's only 19 years old. I hope she's in therapy. I'm not kidding, because imagine feeling hopeless, helpless, but you got the power of the video. I'm sure that's what saved the case. An officer to a civilian, someone who's been in prison. See, they threw all that stuff, and they wanted it to stick. So I just didn't like the juror members going to all the networks and have your mouth shut. Sometimes it's a time to be quiet. And when the full victory is after the sentencing. This is just the verdict. There's one white male that's going to be govern the sentencing. That's when we celebrate, not a moment before. And the fact that George Floyd Jr. should still be here, I believe they have a suit. I think that the suit has the wrongful death suit has been settled. I don't know, maybe a few million. I don't know. I didn't follow all those moving um, parts, so I don't know about that. But I know that young man. It would be great if he were alive, and I wouldn't have to talk about a George Floyd. And I hope this current administration, they can do an executive order if it's sitting in, the Senate. Our people got you across the finish line. You owe it. But that's the thing. We think that people are compassionate. There's no compassion. Perhaps once in a while, but when they see this beautiful melanin, I don't have any tattoos, so yeah, I didn't want to. I don't believe in tattoos. I don't think you need to put anything when you have the melanin, but that's in my mind, and I think that's my practice. So, but I really want to say, blessings to the family. We have so many more that have happened. North Carolina is one. It's just so many horrific cases of killing, not loving, not giving someone an opportunity to explain himself or herself. George Floyd, maybe he did not know that was a counterfeit 20, and it didn't even matter. $20 bill, I would have given, let me give and the young man that told his supervisor, and then he called the police. Like I said, in closing, this was in Atlanta years. I was working at the vitamin shop, and I think I told you the story already. There was kind of a shifty guy. He was shifty as the day is long. He was shifty. He was shifty. He was shifty. He was shifty. I'm going to just drive that point home. White dude. And we're around the same age. Maybe he was a few years younger. Yeah, we're around the same age. I don't know if that guy's still around. But he was kind of a gangster guy on like the DL. And so because I was a manager, one of my staff people, he accepted a fraudulent 20. And I knew, when it count the drawer down and all like that, I was like, who? And it's like, yeah, I thought about this, Deanne, because, he ended up working at the company. The company hired him. I was like, but that was another long story. But the company just made it a wash and replaced it with the proper 20, and it was done. There was no police involved. No one had a hoopla blah. Even if the guy gave the $20, it was a bad 20. But it was just like it was done. The company just changed it out, blah blah blah. We didn't have any proper write up or anything. It was just like $20. You know, this is a multi-million-dollar company, so $20, like, who's gonna you know witch about $20? So that was the cost of George with George Floyd's life. $20 alleged. So we send love and light and peace to the spirit of George Floyd. He should still be here, but perhaps a change is coming. Change is coming. So don't fret. Stay strong. Do the right thing all the time, because we know we're being surveilled. We know these cell phones. I mean, people doing stuff fraudulent. Don't. It's your life is not worth it. The price that you may pay is your life. So just always do the right thing. Always set the standard high, because these phones, albeit good, can be used against you, because all the data somebody needs to pull up is right here. And T-Mobile, because they have my accounts. So don't do anything that you'll live to regret. Just live a melanated life with peace and love and joy. And that's what we came here to do. We didn't come here, the new kids on the block, because we know about systems. We know about equity. We know about love. We know everything that is to know. We built this country. We built the world. So don't do anything disparaging on your life or your family's life. It's not worth it, because see, the stakes are higher. Back in the 70s, if police officers, they did not pull out the gun so much in the 70s when I was a kid, a young person. You might get a couple of billy club. They would pull out the billy club and not the gun. The gun just came out with the use of force. Even the guy, he died maybe a year ago, out of California. The guy that had all of the I can see him. He was the guy. He was 1992. I remember that, and they had the riot in LA. And we saw on the surveillance that the guy was being hit by four or six officers. I'm just remembering in my mind, but I can't even call the young man that was killed. He eventually died. He didn't die from his injuries, but he eventually died. So we have so many examples, family. Just do the right thing all the time. Just like we were talking about yesterday, just keep the vibration higher, and this too shall pass. This too shall pass. So thank you so much for listening. Peace to the family of George Floyd Jr. And I hope there's going to be an executive order. If it's going to be stuck in the Senate, I hope this administration is able to do the right thing. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Share, like, subscribe. The Melanin Report 360. I'll be back tomorrow. And same time, 2:30 Eastern, 2:30 Mountain, and Mountain Standard Time, and 5:30 on the East. Thank you so much for tuning in. Peace, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Peace.